Wait. Do it again. Wait, it was fan, heat,
and air
air
conditioning.
conditioning, and it's 4 remotes.
Yes.
So
So
how
no matter what, when I'm sitting here, I can always be comfortable.
I love that because I wish I had more. All I have is an overhead fan and it sucks.
Yes, you need to invest in more.
No, all these fans.
You know what? I do think it's an ADHD thing because we're distracted by whatever's on our mind. And if I'm cold, I think I'm cold, I'm cold, I'm cold, I'm cold, I'm cold, instead of focusing. And if I can just quickly fix that, I can get right back on to focusing what I want to focus on.
You know, I always so there is like a weird thing with that I always think of because we don't notice the temperature of the room until there's a change.
Mhm,
That to me is always super like,
mhm.
why is that compared? Like, I don't notice my shoes until I start wiggling my toes.
It, once we focus, now we're laser focused. And Jesse always wonders why I always turn everything on high. Well, I do that with heat and air because the second I realize I'm warm or cold, high.
All the way blast it. I want to be Arctic in here, or I want it to be a sauna immediately.
The burners only have high. That's how it always was. I have a little bit more
A
nuance,
little
patience.
bit more. So how about this? There is kind of something that I've noticed lately that I really like changing temperatures. So I like it whenever I go from one temperature to a different temperature. And I really like the difference. And it's weird because, all right, so like in a shower, I like to turn on cold water before I get out. And I really like that, you know? And it's like weird because I like change in a lot of different areas of life and I see it in just like these little ones. And I don't know, I just think that that's kind of like an odd thing.
Do you think it helps you with grounding?
I don't know.
Like intentionally changing that temperature? That would be a good thing to think about. That's what everybody says who does the ice dips, that
Oh,
it's the
really?
best thing in the world to bring you into your body and it gets rid of all inflammation. And I'm like, yeah, I would die. I think I would
It sounds awful.
really think I would die.
Like I moved away from the cold so that I wouldn't be cold.
I don't even want to hold an ice cube, much less get in a tub of icy water.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Have you ever done that?
No, I think it
You
would
never
kill me.
do you
Oh,
tell people to do it?
no. Oh,
Oh,
your face? Yes. Yes. I mean, the full dip. Yeah.
oh no. I
In the
do the
ice
hand
water.
ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do
I
hand?
couldn't. Yeah, like an ice cube in the hand, and that's
Uh-huh.
always the like the few times that because like sometimes I'll like demonstrate it with someone, and I'm always like, oh, this cold. I don't like that.
Uh, yeah, I think it's interesting. The latest research talking about sour candies and putting your face in ice water.
Ooh, and tell me about sour candies because I'm a sucker for a sour patch.
Yeah, just putting it in your mouth and focusing on it can
Huh,
actually stop a panic attack. And it really does work for a lot of people. I despise sour candy, so but
really?
I have I can think of 3 clients that I've suggested it to, and they have done it and had really good results.
Huh. Just with sour candy.
Just sour candy.
So what do you think it is? Because there's a lot of that, you know, it's like breathing in the bag. It's like some people say, you know, to do the calming kind of grounding exercise and things. I'm not a huge fan of that myself. I like to go to the like counterintuitive ways. Like let's lean into this panic.
I'm gonna really focus on it. I think it's one of the most difficult things about mental health exercises is the thing that might help me might hurt you. And so when you're starting out, it's just hard. You feel like nothing works. Well, that's because you don't know how to do any of it yet. Your body doesn't know what you're trying to do yet. But if you can just keep trying long enough.
Right. And especially because a lot of people think it doesn't work because it's not working in that moment. Whenever like situation's so high, it's so intense, so significant, and then they're like, "Oh no, the breathing, it didn't do anything." Well, I mean, breathing is only going to do so much too. Whenever you're under this intense load and haven't practiced, and all that, so it's kind of one of those things where it takes a little bit of time to get into, and knowing yourself and knowing what works, and that takes a lot of trial and error because some things just don't work for certain folks. Like, I don't think I could be hypnotized. I don't know. I've never
I
tried
would be
it, but
interested in trying.
I'd give it a shot.
Maybe if you were in the room, I would try it. I need somebody else I trust in order to let me.
Not gonna have you up there barking like a chicken.
Yes, you have to stop them from doing that. Oh, that's funny.
I like looking at yours, and yours is so pretty. Like your office, you have everything set up so nice.
It is very, very, very peaceful. And I do enjoy being in it. And I do have clients comment on it all the time. I have had clients ask me if it's CGI. I'm like, I'll go ahead and make myself a cup of coffee.
That is such a nice compliment. Like it looks too good. It's fake.
And the first day I had the flowers that are behind me up. I didn't notice it, but I had a shirt on that matched it exactly. That's what somebody asked me the first time if it's CGI. But yes, I do enjoy, when you work from home, it's really good to have multiple intentional ways to transition from work to home. And so, I try not to come in here at all unless I'm working. And then I walk in here and I transition, and it's a good thing.
There is something really interesting about like the spaces, because even like this right here, typically I'm really nervous, in front of like talking and like even just kind of like normal stuff. But it's weird whenever I sit here and whenever I'm looking here in this kind of a space, I feel so comfortable with it. And it's like, oh, there's no words. And I mean, it would have nothing to do with the lady on the other end of the line, but
wouldn't matter who would be there.
Right? Like no possible way.
Oh, yes. And it never gets boring. It's always interesting because there's always a different person to talk to. Different things that have happened this week.
Right. And it's weird. It's like a lot of days I'm like, oh man, I never go in with an agenda about what I want to talk about, really. I'm just like, all right, I'm here, I know what we talked about, a while ago, I think. So here we go. But it's never an empty hour, it's never just like sitting there. And even with people who don't want to talk a lot, like we still pretty much always find something to talk about and some common ground. And typically it's after that silence, there's a lot more talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes there's needed silence, but unless it's needed, there's never silence. I always have plenty to think about and say and ask. But yeah, sometimes there's needed silence. The thing that really, it's hilarious. I do always feel really sad for them, but so often after a client's first session, they're like, I cannot believe I waited so long to do this. Or I cannot believe I was nervous to do this. And what people forget is we're working. It's our job to make the conversation comfortable. It's not their job. They don't have to come prepared. We're working.
Okay, we're just hanging out. We're just talking, shooting the breeze.
The hard work comes after we hang up, and then they have to do the things we talked about, not the session.
That is really, so I know you and we have had like talks about this in the past, but I feel like this is a really cool thing that there is this like difference in this, but that a lot of people think like a therapist is someone who's going to like really help, and they do really help,
Mhm,
but it's not in the way that a lot of people typically think,
mhm.
What do you think about that?
We're guiding, that's it. And, I always say, I don't feel like everybody has to learn everything the hard way. We can go ahead and give suggestions. And, I've had 3 therapists, and they made a huge difference for me. And, I don't think I would want to do this job if it hadn't been for those 3. And then you just keep doing the things that you learned. And a lot of times the changes are small. One of the things that I used to do all the time is say, "You were so stupid. What the hell is wrong with you?" That was what I said to myself over and over, and it was never helpful. And I quit doing that. And that's helped me hundreds of times. I now think positive thoughts about myself. I mean, that doesn't sound like it's a complicated, difficult change, but it changed everything, really.
See, I think that it's 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 such a small change that it's almost like not noticeable, but it
Mhm.
makes such a big difference. And not only in those moments whenever you're calling yourself stupid or whenever something happens, because we kind of like cast out our behaviors and how we are at like a net.
Mhm.
So if I start to pay attention to how I'm talking to myself over here, then I start to do it more and more, so it becomes this like snowball effect where now I'm noticing, well, it might not be I'm stupid, but it might be, I'm really hard on myself about being late or about, not understanding the technology or
Never
whatever.
right. What is wrong with me? And that becomes how we think of ourselves. Mhm. A global
It's
problem now. Mhm.
it's the second layer that we add on to, there's like it's a shitty situation, and now we're adding on even more like something else to it, and instead of it being directed outward, now we're just turning it inward.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
Like,
not
what are we
blaming the
going?
circumstance, always blaming ourselves.
Mm.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I always, I think that too. Like since we have this expectation that like life is going to be easy, that if I just make it to this point, wherever it is, that like everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows and it's all going to be super easy. And there's never a point like that. I don't think that anyone ever reaches a point. There are moments, but there's not a point where it's like, oh, you hit the finish line and now it's easy breezy.
Yes. I always think of it as we go through times that are more peaceful than others. And I'm in one of those right now. And, the thing about being my age is that once you have a little bit more experience, I do so much better at enjoying the peaceful and focusing on the fact that it is peaceful and really being in that moment because, yeah, life never, you can't know what's coming.
Totally not. So, well, that is really interesting about like, I don't know, just enjoying the peaceful moments. So, what in the past, because like I feel like this is a super common thing. I can think of my own examples too, but like what was yours that was like whenever peace would come, what would happen then in the past compared to now?
I think I was always still rushing and working for and reaching for the thing that would make life just perfect.
Mm.
And a lot of times for me that was money, that was working harder, making more money, buying more things, that type of thing. And now I hold still and I'm like, I could just hear the peace I'm in. And I just thoroughly enjoy it.
You look peaceful.
I
You do.
I'm experiencing it right now.
It's you're right. It's like, we have these good moments, we enjoy them, and then we ask what's next, and we just like rush right through, prepare for the next thing, and just move it right along and don't enjoy it. And it's like, why work so hard if we're not going to enjoy that? And then we, the direction that we want to go in life is typically not more work, but that's what we end up doing whenever we find success. And then we're like, oh, we need to do more of this,
Mhm.
And then our life becomes this just like where we're after money that we can't really spend in the way that we want to, and our time is being sucked in places we don't want to be, compared to the other, and it's like, well, maybe if we just simplified things a little bit.
Mhm. I think of the Caterpillar book. Have you read that one? It is. It
It's
is like chilling.
Oh, I haven't read that one. I was thinking of a different one.
Guy constantly wants to get to the top of the Caterpillar hill. Yeah, I won't ruin it in case
Don't
you want
don't
to.
ruin
Oh, yeah.
don't ruin the surprise of the Caterpillar Hill.
What is at the top of Caterpillar Hill? Uh,
Oh my gosh. I am tired. Today is a mocha espresso day. No, a macchiato is what I made today.
Diet Coke as always.
Ooh. Diet Coke. So are you a Diet Coke like first thing in the morning before coffee, or is it you have one coffee before? So then throughout the day, do you switch it up or do you?
Do Diet Coke water, Diet Coke water. I did say try though, because there's definitely days where it's Diet Coke, Diet Coke, Diet Coke. Not good.
Not good. Too much Diet Coke.
Too much, not enough water. No, not such thing as too much Diet Coke, but there is such a thing as not enough water.
Right.
uh,
Oh my gosh. I'm beat.
you have a busy weekend.
Actually, so this weekend was really interesting. Went and saw the Odyssey on Friday, and that was so much fun. It's been a really long time. I read the book a long, long time ago. I saw the Jim Henson's like I remember like whenever I was a kid, or maybe like I don't know, one night on YouTube, I watched him like a long time ago and fell asleep. And I liked it. I thought it was really good. And went to the AMC. And then the next day was super busy. Went to the batting cages and did that. Did like an arcade kind of day. That was cool. Went to an Asian market and had some really good ramen and then a brewery afterwards. It was a really like very, very different day, full of like lots of different things.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
That sounds good. So if it isn't today, then I don't know. And so I always keep a calendar because I need that prompt. I saw someone yesterday that I had not seen in 7 years. So much fun when you have friends that you can go that long without seeing and you see them and immediately you just catch up as fast as you can. And it totally feels like it always had. And yeah, it was wonderful. I told her yesterday, I said, if I had to make a top 10 moments in my life, she owns one of them. We went on vacation the day she found out she was cancer free. And we had the best time. And we were just talking about being grounded and being able to be in the moment. That's what that was. All of us, there was 4 of us most of the time. All of us were so in the moment because of her news. It was she didn't think she was going to still be alive and to be cancer free. Now, what she shared with me yesterday about the last 4, last 7 years that I haven't seen her, she's had cancer 3 more additional times.
Oh, wow.
Is in remission again now.
Huh.
But yeah, we talked a lot about being able to enjoy the moment and enjoy the days. And she's gotten really, really good at that over the last 7 years. So, yeah, it was such a good day. Oh, and then we had a wedding.
Oh my gosh.
Fun on Saturday. And then the day before, scissors are dirty. The day before, I spent the whole day with my friend Stephanie. And we did our nails. We're headed to the BTS concert and we got matching BTS nails. That's fun.
I did not realize that those nails that I saw them and I didn't realize that they have like massive textures.
Yes. Well, actually, I call this my thumb thing. It has the same purpose as a fidget spinner. When I'm anxious, I do this. And it was the first time Stephanie added it. And she's like, I can tell already. I'm going to like my thumb thing. So good.
They're like thumb nipples.
The thumbs have red nipples. Oh, that's funny. Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Very often the weekend, I try to make sure that one day is relaxing and at home. I didn't do that this weekend, but most weekends, Sundays, we try to chill and hold still.
Oh yeah, I like a low-key Sunday. That's one of my favorite. Whenever I can like lay in bed most of the day and then like mosey out to the couch and like make something good and
nothing.
That's it. The whole day, right? Yeah. Just like eat and kind of hang out and just, not really worry about too much. Maybe go out a little bit, do like one errand and feel really accomplished.
I was thinking about that the other day, how we went out to eat every day at your house and everything was amazing when I was at your house and we never got in a car. That's so unimaginable for me in my rural county here. There's not one single place I can walk to eat.
So it's really odd because what I'm finding from living in a city versus like living in like more like the suburbs or even like out in it a little bit is that it takes me just about as long. Like everything I do, it's other than if I'm like walking across the street or something like that. Like I'm still, if I walk somewhere, it's like a 10-minute walk. You know what I mean? Like, like downtown or anything like that. So it's like I'm still walking it. It still takes the time, but I feel like I enjoy the walks better than I do the rides.
Especially if there's lots of traffic.
Yeah. Yes. Although not nearly as much traffic here as Florida.
There was, yeah. Here, I'm not usually in a traffic jam. But
you're saying the buggies aren't all backed up?
I did. I sat at a stop sign behind 2 buggies one day, and I'm like, this is the most rural traffic jam I've ever been in. But now they're all driving electric bikes. I mean, there are so many electric bikes on the road. It is unreal. I know. The next question, when will electric cars happen, right? If electric bikes are okay, you would think electric cars would be okay. I don't think that's going to happen, but it sure would be nice.
So why is the electric bike okay?
I have no idea.
Huh. I mean, I'm I don't know what's worse. Like, is it more environmentally conscious to drive a horse or an electric bike?
That's a great research question.
Like how much carbon does a horse? I guess. Like, what's their carbon footprint compared to an electric bike?
You would have to ask someone else, but I'm pretty sure you couldn't ask the Amish guy. You would have to ask somebody else. I don't think the Amish guy would know.
Maybe not. Well, maybe they'll Google it for me.
This is true. Most of them do have cell phones now. Mhm.
Interesting.
Drive past my house on the electric bike, texting on their phones, and I'm like,
at least get a holder for that thing, and put a mount on that bike so that you can do it safely.
every time I see distracted drivers on bikes, I'm always like, you guys have no idea how distracted we are sometimes. Like, you got to be paying attention. Of course, my anxiety, road anxiety, is still higher than any other anxiety I have. So I do pretty much presume most people are dangerous on the road.
Yeah. So have you always had road anxiety, or really? How come I didn't know this? I always felt like you were a pretty fast and loose driver.
I like to drive fast, especially if my top's down on the convertible, because it's one of my biggest stress relievers. I always said, if I'm stressed, I will just pick up speed until the problem flies out the back. And that's a visual. I will picture it going and then smile and then get on with my day. So I do like to go fast, but I do presume that other people are coming at me. Do you want to hear a recent funny story? Told quite a few clients this. So I'm driving along and I'm very much in the moment. Top is down. There's puffy, beautiful white clouds in the sky. The sun is perfect. I mean, on my face, the temperature on my skin is perfect. And I'm like, this is the most perfect day ever. I love this moment. Totally in the moment. And then this pickup truck goes by with these really huge tires. And I thought, man, my car is so small. Those tires are so big. He could drive right over my car. And then what if the wheel would be right in my face? And then there would be gas dripping down on me. And then I would burst into flames. And then I laugh out loud because I went from perfect moment to burning alive in 30 seconds. And I have been working aggressively on my mental health for 25 years. Now, the great part is I have been working on my mental health aggressively for 25 years. So afterwards, I laughed and I immediately went back to enjoying the day. But typically, that's not how it used to be. Usually, if I let it
ratchet on up, going on the anxiety roller coaster.
And it would be harder and harder to stop it. And it would ruin my day after day. It would ruin vacations because I was so tense.
And then all the...
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
So I find that it's very interesting because it's not like we seek it out. It's not like you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, this is great. I really wish I would have a thought that would just come through and ruin this moment.
Mm-hmm. I was actively appreciating the peaceful thought I was having. But then the trigger was the wheels and how big they were. And suddenly, for a split second, I let myself feel small and imagine the worst. So, when you have road anxiety, it's really important that you don't let accidents come up in your Instagram feed. Do not watch. Do not reinforce this happens every day to everyone. That's what anxiety will tell you. It happens every day and it's going to happen to you today. No.
I don't know how anyone's still walking around with tires flying at them all the time.
That's one of my favorite client comments ever. I said, "How was your week?" And she said, "Best week ever. My kids didn't die once." Like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good week.
that's a great week. You know, whenever that's the standard, yes.
Yeah.
Like, these are the goals. All right.
Oh, yes. On the road, all things lead to anxiety, leads you to horrible, horrible crashes. When you're a parent, the kids always die.
Mm,
That's what anxiety tells you. Yeah.
yeah.
And anxiety
So,
is wrong.
so how do you look at anxiety as like a conceptual kind of a thing? Like, what do you think about anxiety and like the whole deal? Because I have thoughts and I want to hear yours.
Do you want to hear mine first or you want to go first?
No, I want to hear yours first. I already know mine.
I do. A long time ago, I started picturing anxiety as a stick figure that sat on my shoulder and whispered in my ear. Now, I don't know if I read that as a technique somewhere. That's a lot of times when I have ideas, I think I should look up to see if that's actually my idea or if I read that a long time ago and forgot. But I do. I picture anxiety is female on my left shoulder, whispering in my ear. Depression is male,
Oh,
and he sits on my right shoulder and whispers in my ear. And so if I'm listening, I am capable of being miserable 24/7. Every waking moment, capable.
hmm.
But very frequently, I can say that's anxiety, and I just stop listening. In whether that's on the road or whether that's anxiety telling me everything's going to go wrong and everybody hates me. And so I think it is a lot easier for people when they think of anxiety not as the voice in their head. Because if it's just the voice in your head, then you're arguing with yourself. And
That's
it's
not
your
good.
own voice and you're trying to shut yourself up. And that is not very effective. And so I've had really good luck with picturing it as a stick figure. And I do ask my clients to always try to. Somebody just made their anxiety the poop emoji. I thought that was great.
I like that better than the stick figure.
Here on your shoulder, whispering in your ear.
It's, so I like the stick figure. I like that. I like I think that that's a good. I So, I used to always work, like, I worked in, like oil companies and all that stuff. So I've been around a lot of alarms and things like that. So for me, anxiety is always like an alarm.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I would work, sometimes there'd be a problem with an alarm. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, like, there would be like a fire sensor that would just, get water in it and it would go off all weekend. And then I would have to be sitting listening to this alarm and figure out ways around it.
Right.
So
Trying to fix the alarm instead of the alarm warning you and then fixing a problem.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So
Mm-hmm.
the first couple times, whenever you hear it and you don't realize that it's broken, then you go out and go check because you have to, because it's an alarm and something could be going wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
once you realize that it's not, that there's nothing out there, then I look at it more like a signal. Like that's a signal that at least the horn's working.
Aren't we glad, right?
I don't have to check for fire every time. I can do the other things too, because sometimes I would like check on the cameras or I would check on a computer that would like tell me that something's like working the right way or not working the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like instead of me going out there every time and like walking, I don't have to. I can just look at these other ways and that can kind of work. And whenever I look at myself and like a lot of my emotions, a lot of my sensations, a lot of the feelings that I have, I tend to look at them in this kind of signal kind of a way, as opposed to this is a fact, because I know it ain't bringing me facts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The record is it does not bring facts 100% of the time.
100% of the time, no way, you know?
That I love that example. The alarm goes off. Yeah, on the road with the imagining the truck was driving over me, I would have done that same thing. This is anxiety. This is not something that has actually happened to you. Now, I do think we do need to be careful to always be realistic. That scenario could happen to me in this world. It's not that it's impossible. It's good to think of it in what are the chances. And the chances are, I always say, it's probably much more likely that you get hit by lightning. And then people will say, well, you do. I said, well, how many people do you know that have gotten hit by lightning? And I have yet to have more than one person say one. Talk to thousands of people. So apparently people do get hit by lightning, but nobody knows them.
Yeah, because they
No, if it would be completely tragic, they would have found out about it.
They still would have known. They still would have known.
They would have known.
No, you're right. You're right. Like those are things. Like it's and it's not that the like too. It's not that the alarm going off, doesn't mean that there's not a fire out there and the alarm is wrong. The alarm could be going off over something different, and there's still a fire and all that. And yeah, like that can totally, one thing that did happen yesterday or Saturday was we passed by a truck on fire on the side of the road on the highway with like fire trucks and everything around it. So like these things, it does happen, but is it going to happen to me? Probably not today.
Very, 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 very small chance.
Yeah. And if it does, I'll deal with it whenever I get there. Like who's to say even whenever it would happen that like the worst case would happen.
Anxiety says that, but
Anxiety does.
But so, it doesn't mean it's true.
Like one point though I have to do, because I feel like we demonize anxiety.
Yeah.
Right? Because we typically are talking to people who have way, way too much of it, But anxiety has function. And I think that gets lost in the pushing it away and all that. What do you think?
Yeah, I even have a hard time remembering that in my own life because I've had such an excess of it. And I've spent so much time trying to not believe it and tell myself, none of this is actually going to happen. It's hard for me to remember that functioning correctly, anxiety is a good thing. And, fight or flight, it's one of the most magical, incredible things that our body does, preparing us to heal our bodies for if we get attacked.
Before it even happens.
Anything even happens. I mean, that's amazing. If working correctly. It's not so fantastic when we're in fight or flight all the time. And then we get sick really easy and we have all kinds of things in our body that are messed up because we were preparing for the bear to attack. And there actually was no bear.
So I love this journey of fight or flight. I am a huge getting into the instincts because I don't know. I feel like psychology is so big. We focus on the different therapies and treatments and everything, but getting back to the basics of the Gestalt orderings and getting into fight or flight, just more basic kind of things and having an understanding in. Because they're so prominent, these things are in our everydays, and I don't see them as just I like a bear. Fight or flight. I think that we see it in our every day in the smaller ways. Fighter. The fight instinct, I feel, isn't just about fighting. It's more so about controlling, managing threats. So this can even get into my ego. Right? Or like, controlling a person who has done me dirty and now I'm afraid of them and I want to control, make sure, or something is going on that I'm afraid of and, I have to make sure that it is the way. I see that as fight. I think that we use that instinct, to as like the directional, like the cardinal direction of how we're going to approach it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because we have other ones.
Correct. Yeah. I could sit with that for a long time and think about it. There is fight in so much of what we do. And then if anxiety's there with the microphone on my shoulder broadcasting, there's going to be a continued, you remember, this was very dangerous the one time, this hurt you the one time. And then we are stuck in that until we're intentional.
Right. And until we realize it, and then I think even until we recognize that what we're doing is the managing of a threat,
Mm-hmm.
because that same thing, I could go towards it. Like instead of managing it in a way that, like I'm controlling it, I could connect with it. If it's a person who I'm afraid of and having issues with, I can reach out to them and I can work on different dynamics and things like that. But if I use that more like loving the fawn, of the F's kind of way, or the fighting is just it's like the other road, it's another way, or I could do nothing, or I could run away, and avoid, or even avoid through distraction, through my phone, through my busy schedule, through my this, through my that. So I think that we forget that or don't think about that there's like an intention, there's a direction with some of this stuff, like this fight or flight sets the tone of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Freeze. I have so many clients that talk about, why can I not speak up for myself? They're froze. We don't just freeze physically, we freeze mentally and emotionally when we feel like we're in danger. And that it can make it feel impossible to even speak up.
That goes against the nature, you know what I mean? Like think of the out on the prairie, and the herding animal is just like and they all stop, and that's literally like stopping everything and taking everything in, and trying to be as small as possible and not noticeable.
Yeah.
And that goes 100% against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I like the picture you drew there of, on the prairie, you freeze, you try to be as small as possible. And what clients speak of that they want, what I want when I feel froze like that, is to be able to stand up for myself, be calm, speak clearly and intelligently. All of that goes against the freeze.
It does.
A lot of rethinking. I remember the first time I spoke up to somebody in a situation where I would normally have froze. And I can still picture where I was. I can still remember what he looked like. And I spoke up for myself in the moment. And then I like almost teared up and I got choked up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just thought through a stressful situation and I was able to speak up for myself. I have arrived.
I've made it. I'm here.
It's invisible froze on the prairie.
Yeah. And see, and I think that those moments are so impactful too, whenever we go against, because it shows, it's like we need the validation. We got to remember. It's like our brain is like, this, remember this.
Yes, change happened. It can.
It can.
If it happened once, it can happen again.
Definitely.
Remember the method, how you got there.
Start small, go little bits at a time, and it will happen, because that's the way. Be gentle on yourself.
To be clear, it was a customer yelling at me, and I was a waitress. So that's the incredibly scary situation I was in.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it
mean,
wasn't
that
like
is.
actual danger, but it felt like it was. You know, my throat would tighten up, my knees would shake, my whole body would be quivering. And
How is that not danger though? See, I put that as, here, this is my financial security of my job.
true.
There's also a social aspect of it as well. I think that in this world where I am not out there defending myself against the elements, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So for me, this is the prairie,
Yeah,
it is the
it is true.
jungle.
It is true. I was minimizing what I was going through because I wasn't in actual danger, physical, where I was afraid he would attack me. But you're right. It really is.
You know?
My life entirely depended on that job, and I was supporting myself entirely. And that is very scary to lose that.
And so I
Mm.
don't know. I feel like that's a bit, that's something we don't think about, and we put everything in these like massive terms that I have to be knife, to my neck in the alley and everything else.
Yeah.
But no, it's happening right here.
Mm. Yeah. The really super tall guy that came back to the waitress station to tell me that I had forgotten something and how annoyed he was about it. Very scary.
It, it is.
Mhm.
It is.
Mhm.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Well, I see the time. I can't believe that it's gone by so quickly because this is definitely.
Hours just go by so fast. I work a 10-hour day and it takes like 6
That's all right.
at most.
But,
Uh,
well, Wilma, this has been amazing.
Next week, I will be out of state. So the next.
Yeah, I'll put it on the schedule. I'll send out a thing and we'll do it again. And then too, I'll figure out like I recorded this, so I've never done that before. I don't even know if it turned out. So we'll just kind of like go from there. And if I have a video, I'll edit it and I'll send it to you.
Sounds great. It was a pleasure as always talking to
It's a pleasure.
you.
Bye.